Room stars Brie Larson, who I think the first time I saw her was in Remember the Days, which is a movie that went under the radar, I think. It's also called, it has two titles, which is bullshit. It's called Remember the Days and The Beautiful Ordinary. And the first time I saw her was in that, and then she was in 21 Jump Street and Short Term 12, which was great, and she's been in a bunch of stuff. And I feel like she's finally getting, like, recognition. And when I saw the trailer for this movie, it looked very, like, Lifetime-ish, but it was actually really, really good. I cried like a baby throughout the whole thing. Even though it's not a sad, it's a sad story, but it's not sad at the end, if you know what I mean. It's about Brie Larson, who lives in a room with her son Jack, who's 5. And basically you find out that she's been kidnapped. She was kidnapped when she was 17. And she's been held, this guy is just holding her in a shed. And, he rapes her continuously, and she got pregnant, and she has her son Jack, who is so... This kid was amazing. His name was Jacob something, and he was so good. Usually children in these movies are just kind of there, and they're annoying, and they're not that good, and they're just not good at being kids, if you know what I mean. This kid, though, was so good, and he had this, first of all, his appearance, he has, like, this long hair in the movie. He looks like a girl, and he's so pretty, like, he looks like a girl, and he's so pretty to look at, and he has, like, these big blue eyes, and he's just filled with innocence. And, he grows up thinking that room is the only real place in this world. He knows that he's real, he knows that his mom is real, he knows that the things that are in the room are real, but he thinks that everything else is fake. Everything on television is magic. Trees, cats, dogs, leaves, everything is magic. It's all fake. There's no outer space. There's nothing. He thinks everything on TV is fake. Those are just 2D people made of colors, I think he said, and that's it. He thinks that the only things that are real are him and his mom in the room. And the reason why he thinks that is his mom tried to make that room a world for Jack, because obviously they can go out, he can go to school, he can meet other people. She doesn't even want him to associate with his father, aka the rapist that kidnapped her. So, she keeps him in the closet whenever old Nick, whenever old Nick comes to visit. She keeps Jack in the closet so that he doesn't have to even be near him. I mean, he's near him, they're in the same room, but, be separated somewhat. And she's tried to make a normal childhood for this kid, even though that's pretty impossible in the situation that they're in. So she's been telling him all these lies his whole life. But then she realizes that she can't live like this anymore, and she needs to get out. So, she tells him about the time that when she tried to get out, she hit old Nick over the head, and he grabbed her by the wrist, and now that's why her wrist hurts, and she needs surgery, and, Jack's like, maybe we can just kill him, and she's like, we don't know the combination to the door, there's a password that they don't know, who's gonna bring us food, we're gonna die here too. So she comes up with a plan to sort of send Jack away so they can escape. And Jack is completely terrified. His whole life he's thought that this is his world, and now suddenly she's telling him that there's an outside, and that she had a mom and dad, and that they live in a house, and that they had a turtle, and that she went to school, and all these things, and he doesn't believe it. He's just in denial. So she needs to make him understand that there's more. And they come up with a plan where he can escape, and he manages to do that, and half of the movie is them in the room, which I thought that their stay in the room would be way shorter. I thought it would be maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and then they would escape. It was actually 50-50. They stayed in the room for 1 hour, and then they were outside of the room for 1 hour. That's not a spoiler, that's actually the movie. The movie is about them living on the outside, so I figured that there would be more of the outside than there was, but it was actually 50-50. And to me, the time that they spent inside the room went by really quickly, and then the time when they were outside sort of dragged, which is very interesting because Jack is thinking, wow, there's not much time. He's used to being inside the room where time isn't really a thing. He has nowhere to go. I mean, he doesn't have school, he doesn't have limits. And suddenly he's on the outside and he's like, everybody's rushing and everybody has somewhere to be and everybody's doing something and everybody's in a hurry, and that's weird for him. And it's so strange to see this kid that's very smart, very bright and innocent, and then suddenly he doesn't know how to go up the stairs or down the stairs. He's never had stairs in his life. He's never seen a dog. He's never seen a car. He's never seen the outside. He's never, he doesn't know how to breathe the air that's outside. So, the doctor has to come in and, like, give him sunglasses and sunscreen and a bunch of pills that, so he can accommodate to the germs that he's never been in contact with. He's been in a box his whole life. And, the room was just a shed that some creepy guy has in his backyard. And he pretended that he had a dog that was lost. And so Jack's mom, Joy, went to help him, and then he kidnapped her and threw her in the shed. So, Joy is just, she's coming back into the role that she used to know, and it's very strange for her to come back home. Her parents aren't together anymore. Her mom is with someone else, and it's a time, it's a complicated time for her too. For Jack is just discovering the new world, and it's so sweet and cute and sad at the same time to hear him say, when I was 4, I didn't know anything. I didn't know that the world existed. But now that I'm 5, I know everything. And it's like, oh my god, he was so sweet and so innocent and naive. And he was just taking it all in. And it's more about his journey. This movie could have been the typical horrendous story of abuse. A pretty girl that's trapped in a shed and she's been constantly abused and raped and everything, and just thrown in there. It could have been a movie about that. It could have been a movie about her parents struggling to find her. It could have been a movie about this creepy guy that's like trying to escape from the police. It could have been about all that, but instead they chose to make it about this kid, and that's so interesting, and it's so different and nice and uplifting somehow, even though I cried all the time during this, like, the last hour. It was a good kind of crying because they were okay. They were out and they were safe. So it's about his journey and discovering the new world. It's like an alien has come to this place, and this place called Earth, and it's like, oh my god, like, he discovers a cell phone and toys and dogs. Oh my god, the first time he sees a dog, he's only seen them on TV. He's only, for him, it was always something imaginary. He had an imaginary dog called Lucky. But now to actually meet a real one, that was crazy. And, I don't know, the thing that stuck with me the most was the fact that he didn't know how to go up the stairs and down the stairs. He didn't know how to do that. So that was pretty crazy to me. And the fact that he's never seen a shower. He's seen a bath. They had a bath, but he doesn't know that a shower exists. He's never seen a mirror in his life. So the first time he sees himself, it's in the hospital after they're rescued. Just a bunch of things. Like, he's used to having Sunday treats where old Nick would bring them things like clothes and food and medicine and things like that. So, you know, his mom tells him it's not just for Sunday anymore, there's gonna be treats all the time. And he's like, really? It's very, very interesting to see a 5-year-old observe and take in the things that we take in for granted. So yeah, I loved it. I loved it. I mean, the acting is brilliant and everything. Like, the thing that pissed me off was Joy's dad, who just couldn't deal with Jack. He just refused to look at him. He refused to acknowledge him. I guess it was really hard for him to know that his daughter had been raped and just had a kid while she was gone for 7 years. You know, there was hope that she was alive, but let's be real, like, it's been 7 years. They probably thought she wasn't coming back. Suddenly she's coming back with the child. So I guess it wasn't easy for him to deal with it. The character that I really, really liked was the stepdad. Well, he wasn't married to her mom, but they lived together, and the dog was actually his that they had, and he was extremely nice, and he just knew how to deal with Jack. Everyone else looked at Jack like he was this doll that was gonna break any time, and will he adjust? And even his mom was so suffocating, like, play with toys, do this, do that, you know. How is he gonna adjust? And there was like psychiatrists and doctors, and you know, the grandma was always there. The grandma was really nice also. But he was the only one that actually knew how to speak to Jack properly. And because Jack was so shy and he was so afraid and he didn't know how to communicate with people, he only talked to his mom and in whispers. You know, he couldn't even say, I want a glass of water. He couldn't say anything. So just one morning, the stepdad is just like, I'm bored. I'm gonna go to the kitchen. He's just talking to himself. He's like, I'm gonna make a bowl of cereal. Let's see what we can do today. And then Jack just like follows along. It's like a dog, like a shy kid that you need to have a way. You need to have a way with children. And you know, the freaking psychiatrist, it's nice and everything. It's nice that they're trying to help him, but it's like the psychiatrist just sits there and watches him paint pictures, and he's just like, what does this mean? And what does that mean? And it's like, he's just a kid. He's very bright. He's very nice. He's gonna be fine. It's just, he needs some time to accommodate and get used to the fact that, you know, he's not in the same room anymore. And it took him a while. He kept asking his mom, like, are we ever gonna go back to room? Are we gonna see our old things? And, you know, he didn't really grasp that they were imprisoned. He didn't understand that. He didn't understand that they weren't there by their own free will. And you know, his mom tried to explain it to him like, I was stolen. I've been locked up in here for 7 years, and he didn't understand it. He didn't grasp it. He was in denial. He was just screaming, no, 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 that's a lie. The world doesn't exist. You're lying to me. You know, he just couldn't understand it. So it was a very interesting experience, just to see how a kid absorbs these things. I don't know how accurate this is. I have no idea if this may be a real story that happened. I'm sure stories like these happen. I don't know if this was based on anything particular, but it would be nice to see if there were ever studies done on this type of situation. I mean, can a kid really be okay after this? I think so. I think Jack is gonna be totally fine, and it just takes a while. Kids adjust so quickly, and I know that, you know, and we moved around when I was a kid a lot, and I always adjusted really quickly. So, you know, it was very interesting to see where it goes, and it was more through his eyes, seeing how his mom was falling apart after getting out. You know, it was hard for her to go back, and you know, she remembered all her friends from high school and the fact that they had normal lives and she didn't. Suddenly her parents aren't together anymore, and now she's thrown into the public's eye. And there was this very interesting scene that I wish had gone on for longer than it did, where she agrees to do a primetime interview. And it's like the typical host that's like, tell me about your struggle, and but she asked these questions that really set her over the edge, like, why did you choose to keep Jack in the room? Why didn't you send him away when he was born? And she's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? He's my kid. I'm not gonna send him away. But then the host is like, no, but maybe that wasn't the best for Jack, him staying in the room. Do you think that was the best for Jack? That freaking passive-aggressive tone that the hosts use. That was a very interesting scene, and I wish it had gotten a bit longer. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Room. I wasn't sure what to expect. I thought it would be more about them adjusting to the outside world, but it was actually 50-50 exactly, 50-50, and I really enjoyed the time that they spent in the room. At first I thought it would be just the two of them. I didn't even expect to see the kidnapper. I thought maybe he would just be sort of an idea and we wouldn't actually get to see him, but we do. We do get to see the way he treats Joy, and the fact that he doesn't even care about Jack, like he doesn't even know how old he is. Obviously to him that's fine. And I'm actually kind of surprised that he didn't even kill Jack. But I guess he wasn't really a murderer. He was just a crazy rapist, kidnappist guy. So, I was a bit surprised that he didn't murder Jack when he was born, because let's be honest, that's what happens. And, she just tried to do her best, and it was a very hard moment to see her plan in action, and her sending her kid away so that he can get help. And the way she did that was she told him to play dead, and she put him in this carpet, and she told him to, wiggle out of the truck and get help. And that was a very, my heart was racing throughout that scene, because that's a very long section of the movie. It's a very long scene where Jack is in the carpet, and then he's on the truck, and then he, it's the first time that he's outside. He's breathing this air that's different, and he's looking at the sky, and he's seeing people, and he's hearing all these sounds, like the train is coming by, and he sees stop signs and everything, and he's on a car. He's never been in a car in his life. So, at first he can't even say the words, help me, help me, help me. Someone finds him and everything, and it was terrifying to see how old Nick, he gets out of the car and he just grabs him, and I just kept thinking, oh my god, just run, scream, someone help this boy. And eventually it works out and they get out, but that was a very emotional moment, just because that they get out. That's the whole point of the movie. That they get out and that they're fine, but it made my heart race so much. And yeah, I just cried like a little girl throughout the whole thing. And not the whole thing, but the second half when they got out, and I was just happy tears and then sad tears. No kid should grow up not knowing how to climb the stairs, you know what I mean? He's never seen stairs. That fucking got me. I started crying like a baby when he couldn't go up the stairs. No kid should grow up thinking that people on TV are fake, because he doesn't realize that there's a world out there. And I'm sure that happens all the time, and we just never hear about it. We hear about the girls that are always imprisoned and kidnapped and whatever, but we don't really hear about the children that they might have had during those years when they were locked up. So yeah, that was interesting. It was an interesting movie. Yeah, I think I might watch it again with my mom. I think she would appreciate it. But it's definitely an emotional one. And I mean, it's a happy ending. They're fine. And I think Jack is gonna be fine, and I think his mom is gonna be fine, and it's gonna be fine. And Jack better grow up. This kid better grow up and be an awesome actor. The kid that plays Jack, because he was great. Usually I don't like kids in movies. They're just always not good. But this kid was great, and you just look at him, and he was very beautiful to look at. And that sounds creepy, but he was just very beautiful to look at on screen, and he had like this innocence around him. Very good, very good. And you know, he did typical things like in movies when a parent tells something and the kid just does it, you know, it's just okay. But he had actual realistic responses to things, and I guess that also has to do with the script. You know, when his mom makes him do things that he doesn't want to, it's not just, I hate you, yeah. He's actually screaming it because he doesn't understand what's happening. He screams, I hate you, no, you're a liar, because he doesn't understand what's happening. And, you know, when she's making him sick so that he goes to the hospital, he starts like, what are you doing? You know, he doesn't understand. And it was very, very good, just very realistic, and I think it has to do with the script as well. So yeah, 8++. Room.
One evening when the sun went down and the jungle fire was burning, down the tracks came a hobo hiking, and he said, boys, I'm not turning, I'm headed for a land that's far away, beside the crystal fountain. I guess they still can't hear us. Do you remember how Alice wasn't always in Wonderland?
She fell down, 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 deep in a hole.
Right, well, I wasn't always in room. I'm like Alice. Now we've got a chance.
I'm scared.
I know. Truck.
Truck.
Wiggle out.
Wiggle out.
Jump.
Jump.
Run.
Run.
In the big rock candy mountain, there's a land that's clear and bright. I'm headed for a land that's
Thanks for saving our little girl.
beside the crystal fountain. You're gonna love it.
What?
The world.